Hello everyone, Sabrina here from Scrappy Tales Crafts. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am back creating 2 pop-up trifold cards using some new products, but mainly featuring these really fun window die sets that perfectly coordinate with the trifold. So this is the dog window. I'll also be featuring the cat window. The dog set has circle windows that cut out, and the cats have square windows. And they're really fun because you can cut through the front of your trifold pop-up cards, and then you have this really cool peekaboo see-through card design, which you'll see once we start assembling these. The sets also include 12 adorable cats and dogs, as well as a sentiment. So the dog set has the Let's Potty sentiment that you can see up there, and the cats have Happy Bee Day. So I did leave all of the paper piecing in this video, and I did want to ask if you guys prefer that I leave the paper piecing in, and that would mean that I'd only be able to feature 1 or 2 cards because these trifold pop-up cards do take longer to film, therefore the videos are longer. Or would you prefer that I, don't show all the paper piecing but create 4 or 5 cards in a video? Let me know what you prefer. Most of my footage is paper piecing, so I know a lot of people enjoy watching it. I enjoy watching it, but I don't know if you would find more value in seeing more cards on one video or seeing less cards but including every step of the card making process. So here I'm just paper piecing these tiny little dogs. This one's an adorable Chihuahua. There are 12 in this set, so maybe your little fur baby is represented in one of these windows. You also do not have to create every single dog if you don't want to, if you don't want to spend that time. You could leave a couple windows with dogs inside and maybe some with just the colored paper behind or a pattern paper. You can also do little hearts and stars. That would be faster. But I knew I had to represent every single cat and dog from these sets. I also want to mention that I will be announcing the 2 winners from my product showcase video on either Friday or Saturday in my next video. So be sure to go to that and leave a comment to enter yourself for the chance to win. I'm giving away a cat and a dog bundle, so the winners can choose which one they would prefer to receive. I think that's a really fun prize, and I don't want anyone to miss out on it, so I thought I would mention it so that you have time to go and leave a comment there. I'll have the video linked below. So here I am paper piecing this little husky. This can also be a German Shepherd. Most of these dogs have some sort of accessory. I think all of them do, and most have party hats. You can cut those off if you want just the dogs, but I am creating 2 birthday cards today, so I opted to keep all of the birthday accents. And you can see with the husky, I also gave him a little mouth popper. I don't know what those are called, those things that expand when you blow on them. I'm also using a fine liner for the faces of all the pets. Here's a little yellow lab. And once you have everything die cut, they really don't take very long to assemble. And if you've been around watching my videos for a while, you guys know I do all of my die cutting, stamping, prep work beforehand, as well as all of my paper piecing. And I'll often spend 1 or 2 days just die cutting and paper piecing so that the next day I can spend the whole time assembling my cards. That's just my preferred way of crafting. I don't really know if that saves any time or if that's very efficient, but sometimes I'm in the mood just to die cut and paper piece. I'm not feeling very creative in terms of actually building any cards, but when I actually have some of my die cuts ready to go, then I can start my card making process, or sometimes I'll work off of a sketch where I already know exactly what I'm doing and it helps me cut exactly what I need, and I usually don't need to cut extras. I normally have exactly enough that I need. Alright, here's a little corgi. I love all the different colors you're gonna get with all these dogs. Alright. And here's his cute little face. He has a collar. And I'm down to my last 3 puppies here. So here's a little Cocker Spaniel. She has heart glasses. Also, if you don't have all the colored cardstock you need for these animals, or you don't feel like pulling out all those different scraps, you can use your Copic markers and color on a nice large white paper all the colors you want to use. I've done that in some other videos, and that's just gonna save you, you know, having to locate every single color. You can see I have a lot of colors on, not only my dogs, but you'll see on my card as well. So feel free to use your markers to get the exact colors that you want, because these images are so small. You can definitely do that. Alright, so here, these are how they'll look once they're inside the windows. Every cat and dog will have its own designated spot. So here's the kitties. I left all the paper piecing at the beginning of the video this time. And they have just as much detail as the puppies. I'm doing a little tuxedo cat here. The cats have paws as well as tails that you can give them. So on a few of my cats, I will give them little paws and tails. I decided to recut the tuxedo's face to more of a dark gray as opposed to black, just so that you can see his eyes better. This is a little Cornish Rex cat. He has a tiny little top hat. And this one, I will give him some paws. So here is the little paws I'm going to add to his neck. Alright, and then we have a black cat here. You can see I organized all the cats into piles with their layers. That made it go a little bit faster. And my 2 birthday cards are going to be very rainbow. So I don't have a particular color scheme I'm going for. I tried to cut everything from every color on the rainbow. I'm even adding the tiny little stripes onto this cat. I will say you definitely do not have to cut every single layer if you don't want to. You can color some parts in with your fine liner like I am here, or with your markers. You can even just cut the base of the cats and the dogs and color the accessory pieces directly on, as opposed to paper piecing. That would mean you'd cut everything from white cardstock and color it that way. And I have done that in previous videos. Alright, here's the sentiment from the cat window set. This is Happy B-Day. I'm double layering it. I do apologize, my head will get in the way a couple times throughout this video. Here's the little Persian cat. I gave her a bow and a little pearl necklace. Down here is a Siamese cat. You guys know I had to represent a Siamese. I have two named Maverick and Charlie, and then I have a tuxedo named Goose. So they're all from the Top Gun movie. I do want to mention I'm going to be using some of the balloons from our birthday collection, as well as some of the other sets from that release, and everything is back in stock. So if you were wanting those, I will have it linked below. They will ship right away along with any of the Pets products. I am also going to be attending Orlando Expo on April 4th and 5th. I will be bringing the new collection. I have been getting questions about that. But if you have never been to a scrapbook expo and you're in the Florida area, I highly recommend going. They're really fun. I used to go to expos before, I started my own business. And my mom and I took classes and shopped all weekend. It really is fun, especially if you have a group of friends that like to craft as well. I am teaching a couple classes too, so I will link to Scrapbook Expo down below. We're also going to the Virginia, Schaumburg, Sacramento, and Ontario Expo. And we're going to be teaching the same classes at all of them. So if you want to check out the Orlando classes and you're in one of those other states, then you'll know what we're teaching and what you can sign up for. Alright, so these are my last couple cats here. There's a little gray cat that's actually supposed to be the cat that's on my logo. I get some questions sometimes asking how I got my name and my logo. Scrappy Tails I came up with for my Etsy shop when I was 15. I do still like the name, but there's so many companies with the first word of the title being Scrappy, so I kind of wish I would have changed that, but it's too late now. And then the cat in my logo is my childhood cat, Lucy. She lived till she was about 20 years old, and she will forever be probably my favorite pet. She was a little tortie. She didn't like anyone except me, but she was such a protective cat. She was so loyal, just like a dog. So I had to put her on my logo. Alright, so the next set I'm using here is the cat tree. This is a large image, perfect for the pull down on your trifolds. So again, I left in the paper piecing. As I mentioned, the majority of the videos that I've been posting, most of the content has just been paper piecing. There's a lot of prep that goes into the trifold cards. So if you would prefer that I just show the assembly, let me know. Alright, so I did kind of mess up this cat tree. I should have glued the scratch post before this orange cat. So what I do is I just trim the corner of it. That particular orange cat, you also have to cut it from the base. That one is not a separate cat. I did that just to save some space onto the die and make it a little bit less expensive. But the rest of the cats are separate, so you can use those by themselves apart from the cat tree if you'd like. And in fact, I did that on a few of my cards in the showcase video. I have over 20 card samples from that video, so if you haven't seen it yet, I definitely suggest watching it. At least watch the samples, the inspiration, because my mom and I spent a very long time creating them. And like I said, you can leave a comment for a chance to win either a cat or a dog bundle. Again, I messed up. This orange cat should have been glued after this pink strip at the bottom. I ended up just not adding it at all because I'm most likely going to put cats down there anyway and you won't see it. This little kitty in the hammock is a calico, so I made sure to give her 3 colors. I'm creating this kitty as a Siamese, but the long-haired version. I think they're called Burmese. I'm doing a gray tabby for this one. And again, all those stripes, they're so tiny, I would just suggest using a fine liner for them, but I did painstakingly cut them out, so I decided to use them. And then I have a lighter gray cat there at the top, and then I'll put a white cat into the hole in the cat tree. Then I needed a few extra pieces to decorate the sides of my trifold, so I am paper piecing this cat tree from the Cat Supplies set. I'm also going to use the 2 cats from that set. So that's there, I just showed it to you. I'm making this one an orange tabby. And then the other kitty is playing in some yarn, so he has yarn wrapped around him. I love that all the cats are in some sort of action pose. They're not just sitting there, they're doing something. And then after these, I'm going to go back to the dogs because I need more elements for my dog card. Here, I'm lost the last little stripe for this cat, so instead of recutting it, I just cut a tiny scrap of orange, and that worked well enough. This little guy is going to get a green yarn ball. And then off camera I paper pieced this one. This is the Calico Cat and Tree from the freebie die set. I still have some of these available. You'll get this free with a purchase of $125 or more. So I have 3 total cat trees on this one card. I guess 2 cat trees and a cat scratcher. And then for the pull down on my dog card, I thought I would use the golden retriever and the little bulldog from the birthday treats die set. So I will have everything linked down below, including the bundles, which are 5% off. Also, our St. Patrick's Day sale ends tonight, so it does not include the new release, but if you're wanting some items on your wish list from older collections, you can use St. Patrick's 17, all one word, capital letters, for 17% off your order. So I'll have the code in the description. This little bulldog and the golden retriever are super simple images. They don't have a ton of layers. I decided to put a little milk bone onto the golden retriever's nose, and then the bulldog actually has milk bones or regular bones in his cone. So both the dogs perfectly coordinate with the sentiment that says, "Did someone say birthday treats?" ? Such an adorable set, perfect for birthdays. You can use a fine liner for this dog's eyes, but I did cut them out this time, so I'm going to glue those. And that golden retriever is done, so now I'll do the bulldog. I love bulldogs because they come in a lot of different colors. I'm going for a gray and white pup, but they also come in like tan and brown colors. So in my product showcase video, I have a few of these bulldogs, and all of them look a little bit different because I changed the colors on them. So you can see he's wearing the cone of shame. The new doghouse add-on has a little sentiment that says, "Heard you had a rough day." That would match well with this bulldog. There's also a cone of shame related sentiment in the new stamp set that would work well with him too. So if you want to create more of a get well soon card, that would be perfect. I'm going to give him some pink ears, and then I'm going to add all his little bones into his cone. Isn't that just so cute? I love that all the new pets have some adorable personality to them. His little tongue is sticking out. So I'll add that, and then his little white belly, and then he is pretty much done. I have the sentiment cut out from yellow as well as black, so you'll see that when we assemble the card. So my paper piecing is finally done. As you can see, that took up 24 minutes out of a 52-minute video, so almost half the video was paper piecing. So that's why I asked what you guys would prefer. So I'm going to be using some pattern paper for both of my cards. I have no idea where I got these papers. They were from my stash from probably 5 to 10 years ago. But this is just a basic polka dot, so I'm sure you guys probably have that. Also, our new pattern paper would work perfectly for this. In fact, I would have used it if I would have gotten it in time, but we received the paper literally the night before we launched, so I wasn't able to create any samples with the paper or the stamp set. So maybe in a live, I will try to use the stamp and paper. So here you can see I am taking the window from the dog window die set, and this is going to cut out all those little circles from the front of my trifold base. You can see I already added my pattern paper, which I cut from the same die and just glued it on top of a white base so that it was using heavyweight cardstock in between. And you're gonna have to run it through 1 or 2 times depending on the machine that you have, because it is cutting through multiple sheets of paper. I have pattern paper on the front and on the back, as you can see. So I did run it through again, and now I'm able to pop out all of them. Now, both the window sets also have frames to go around. So I cut all of those frames from rainbow papers. I just used scrap papers for this. It was a good way to use my scraps. And with no particular reasoning, I'm just gluing these rings down. This is going to give it a clean look. I'm also going to add these rings to the back side, which you definitely do not have to do. I just like the look of it. The die also includes the solid circles that you can add behind your dogs. So I cut those from the same rainbow papers. And my cat card is going to be assembled pretty much the exact same way. I use different pattern paper, but I did the same rainbow frames on my cat design. Alright, so then off camera I'll do the rings on the back side as well. First I'll go ahead and assemble my entire card base. So my circle window piece is going to be my left wing. Then I have another heavyweight cream colored base for my right wing. I'm adding double-sided tape to the glue tabs and adhering them behind my center panel. That center panel I cut the glue tab off because I won't need it for the center one. And then if you want to cover the glue tabs on the back side, you can just cut another base piece. My pull down is also going to wrap around the back side of the center panel. So here I have all of my different elements. I'm trying to see what I like. I'm first off going to glue all of these rings. Alright, now I'm just folding all of the score lines so that this card can actually fold down. Okay, and then I opted to add this blue panel to the center, and then on the right side, I believe I glue another polka dot panel. But here you can see I'm kind of laying out and seeing what this is going to look like. Going back to the front, and now I'm taking a pencil and through the windows I am tracing the circles onto the next wing so that I know where to glue my dogs, as well as the solid circles. So like I said, I cut these circles from the same colors as the frames. I'm making sure to not glue the same color onto the same frame. So that's why I'm kind of flipping back and forth just to make sure I'm placing my colors where I want them to go. Again, I went with all rainbow. That was my color scheme. Try to represent every color on the rainbow. And this ended up looking a bit like a twister board. I really like how it turned out. And then inside each of these circles, I'm going to add one of my dogs. And then the center circle will have my sentiment. Alright, so here are my final 2 circles. And now I'm going to glue all of my little dogs. I'm constantly flipping it back and forth just to make sure that these dogs are centered from the front. I do get a little bit off camera here. I do apologize for that. I am leaving that center blue dot for my sentiment. I love that little Dalmatian with the fire hat. And then here, I think I'm going through my box of die cuts, finding my dogs. I'm putting my pug down there in the corner. Gluing my sentiment, and then my final 2 dogs. I'm sorry, my head is going to get in the way pretty bad here. I'm just making sure that these are centered. And then as you can see, I love that you have that see-through window that reveals the dogs on the inside. On my cat card, I added the little sequin paw prints that are new in our shop. I wish I would have done the same thing to the dog card, but I left it as is on the dog, which I think is fine because it shows the pattern paper. Now I have my card open, and on the right wing, I'm going to add my bulldog and 3 little balloons. These are from the Birthday Essentials set. I'm also going to put a present by the pup. Alright, then I'll open it up again to reveal the center trifold, and that is where I'm going to add my pull down piece. So I'm adding strong double-sided tape above the score line on the pull down. This is from the A7 pop-up trifold die set. You need the original trifold to create this card. And I added glue and tape and just wrapped it around the back of the card, lining up the score line to the bottom of the card and then folding it up. Then you'll need to add your bridges into the slits, and these will hold all of your die cut images. So I'm using 1/2 inch strong double-sided tape here. And then from the bottom, I'm going to push these up, and then that tape is going to stick to the bottom of the pull down. So again, I'll remove the double-sided tape on this larger bridge. I added the tape below the score line. You can also go from above, so either from below or above. I just did the same thing. I'm gonna take off the tape on this one and slide it in from the bottom, making sure that tape sticks. And then you're left with these 3 flaps. It doesn't matter if you have the rectangles at the top or those angled ones like I have. I cut from our new cap set. I cut a little piece of yellow pattern paper. This is actually the yellow I'm going to use for my cat card. And remember earlier how I had birthday treats as yellow? Well, because I wanted the pull down to be yellow, I changed the sentiment to green. And it says, did someone say birthday treats? And I did just glue the green on top of the yellow. I didn't waste the yellow one. So it added a little bit of dimension. And the sentiment fits perfectly onto that cap. I'll add the little dots for the question mark and the exclamation mark. And then I cut the did someone say from black so that it really stood out. And then on the pull down, I'm going to add my golden retriever. Off camera, I also created a poodle with the new Potty Dogs set. And I did show the poodle paper piecing in my last video. I just created a white poodle. I knew I needed another dog for this card. So I'm going to add my golden to the front bridge, as well as a blue present next to him. And then my poodle will go on the second bridge. I just glued her tail down. And then at the top, I am adding this banner, which is from the birthday Trifold add-on set. I'm going to add the happy on the third bridge and the birthday on the second bridge with the poodle. And I used some clear packaging to make these banners look like they're floating above. And now once I have everything in place, I can add my connectors. So I did make these connectors skinnier because the banner is thin, but I start from the back. Now I'm going to need a longer bridge to connect the birthday banner, because I do want that to connect all the way to the back of the card. Just because it's such a dainty image, I want it to be more stable by connecting it to the back of the card versus the third bridge, which is what I normally do. I also did this because I am making these bridges or connectors much skinnier than what they usually are. I actually think I used 2 connectors for the birthday banner. So I added one behind the B or the I on birthday, and then I'll add this second one. And I just made this connector myself. So you get the small connector, which is all you would need to create these cards. But because I wanted to attach the second row to the back of the card, I did need to create my own bridge there, which was pretty easy. You can do it yourself. I might make another die set in the future that has longer connectors, because I do find that some of the cards really need the longer bridges or connectors. Sorry. I also added another one, a smaller one, behind the poodle that's connecting the poodle to the third bridge. And now I have my first bridge connector connecting to my second bridge. And that will finish off my dog card. So here I'll go ahead and open up the entire card so you can see the really fun see-through window. You can even cut the window through the second part of the base so that you can see the dogs on the center trifold. But I did want to use the pull down, so I opted just to add the window to the left side. Here is the inside close-up. And now we're going to create the cat window card. So I'm taking this yellow pattern paper and I'm going to glue it onto this heavyweight white trifold base. You're going to need 3 of these cut out to create one card. And on one of the 3, you're going to cut off the glue tab. So I cut the base also from this pattern paper. I cut off the glue tab. I don't need it on the pattern piece. I'm going to glue that on top. I just wanted there to be the white in between so that it ended up being a heavyweight piece. Now I'm taking the square windows from the cat window set. I'm also adding a scrap of copy paper below that so that it doesn't dirty the other side of my base. But here you can see it cuts all of those square pieces at once. Again, these windows, you can put anything inside of them to really prolong the use in the different ways you can use it. Alright, again, I have all of my rainbow frames that I'm just going to glue onto the front and back of my card. So I removed some of that footage since you already saw this with the circle windows. And then you can see on the back side I added the same frames. I left the back side white, showing the card base this time. I felt like I didn't need the pattern. And now we'll assemble the base. So I have glue on the right side, and then I have my other base piece that's going to have the glue on the left side. Just reinforcing the score lines, and then again I will wrap this around the back of the center trifold. That's the piece that doesn't have any glue tabs. I cut the glue tab off. I'm going to close it up, trace those squares just like I did with the circle design. That way I know where to glue my solid squares. And the squares are larger than the pencil line I am creating, so I don't have to worry about the pencil showing. So again, I'm going to cut some of this footage out because it's basically the same thing. I'm making sure that my solid squares are a different color than the frame in the front. Kind of creating my twister board of rainbow colors. It's a great way to use up your scraps. Now I ended up adding some yellow squares, but I didn't like how the yellow looked on the yellow pattern. So I'm going to change that. I kind of wish I did not change it because now that I'm rewatching this footage, I think the yellow's fine and I was overthinking. I think maybe the dark yellow is fine. I should have maybe covered the light yellow. I didn't need to do both. I also have two purples side by side. That was bothering me. And for some reason, I decided to glue a blue on top of the purple, even though there's a blue directly next to it. I also did the same thing at the bottom. So I wish I did not do that, but I left the footage in because I'm sure people overthink like I do. But it ends up being okay. So now I'm going to glue all my kitties. Again, just trying to make sure I'm not gluing two brown cats next to each other or two orange cats. Trying to disperse the colors as well as I can. Making sure to leave that center square open for my sentiment. I'm really trying to think where to put this one cat. And then you'll see I'm going to add some tails to a few of these cats. So this tuxedo, I'm going to give him some arms so it looks like he's like jumping up and down, which is adorable. I thought about giving him a tail, but there was just no room for the tail, so I'll use that black tail for a different cat. You can also use the paws with the dogs too. Thought about giving this orange cat a tail, but I ended up moving the orange tail to the bottom orange cat. Now I got my dark gray tabby, my Siamese. I'm going to give the Siamese some paws. Actually, I think I take them off. No paws. I have my black cat, and this one is going to get the black tail. I got my Persian, and then my gray. And Happy B-Day is going to go there in the center. And I'm going to embellish the front of this with our new all paw print rainbow sequin mix. There are tons of colors in this. We actually made quite a few different embellishment mixes, so I encourage you guys to look at them, but this is one of them. And again, I kind of wish I would have went back on my dog card and added these, because it added the perfect amount. I didn't want to overdo it, but it added a little bit of interest. Alright, so I finished the rest of the gluing off camera. I'm also going to add a couple clear sequins, or clear gems, I believe. So these don't have any color to them, so they're not very distracting, but they'll add a little bit of shine. There's the inside, and now we can work on the inside. So I have more pattern paper. I have the polka dot over to the right again. I wanted to use up all that paper. It came from a 12 by 12 paper pad, so I figured I'd just finish it up. Here is my pull down piece. I'm going to add some double-sided tape above the score line. And then I have my bridges that I'm going to glue in from the bottom of the slits. These already have the double-sided tape. I'm just sticking them in from the bottom, making sure that tape connects to the bottom of the pull down. And now I have my big cat tree that I want on the center bridge. I do want to raise it up to be a little bit higher, so I'm taking some scrap cardstock and trimming it down to glue on top of the second bridge. This is gonna raise up my cat tree slightly. And then I'll glue the cat tree onto that piece that I glued onto the bridge. And then for the front row, I'm gonna have my cat with the yarn. And I thought about using this stretching kitty, but proportionately it wasn't working. His angle was kind of off. So I ended up going with a sleeping kitty, but I did not want to have two gray cats next to each other, so off camera I cut an orange cat, and that's one of the cats that are sitting on the cat tree. Again, you can use them individually, you don't have to put them on the tree. I gave those two in the front some party hats to match. And then I kind of went back and forth on the back row of this. For a long time I thought the balloons would be too distracting, but I really liked how the balloons looked. So it may be too busy to some people, but I ended up going with the balloons. On the right side, again, I was like, should I go with the banner? I have my little calico cat on the little tree. There was a couple different combinations I could have went with, as you saw. And I did lose the footage on, me adding those balloons and gluing the right side. So I do apologize for that, but I am going to slow down the video so you can see what I did. On the right side, I did put the happy birthday banner with the calico cat tree, the orange stretching cat, and then from the cat supply set, I also added that little pink toy. On the pull down, I went with the yellow pattern paper again. And then on the top left corner, I added a tuna can from the cat supply and the little mouse toy from the cat supply. All right, so now I'm going to close it up so you can see what this looks like. I really like the addition of those paw print sequins. So this is how it opens to reveal all the cats. I have my happy birthday banner on the side there, and then I did end up adding my balloons to the third row as well as directly onto the back of the card. And here's how it stands upright. I love how both of these cards turned out. Let me know if you like the cat or the dog version more. I do appreciate you hanging out with me for this very long video. Remember to add a comment to the product showcase And I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.